Hello everyone and welcome back to the X-Wing build. Today we're going to continue working on the engine and the laser cannons. Getting a little bit of painting on the laser cannons and continuing assembling parts as needed. So let's get started.
Okay. These have dried up pretty good. And they're nice. Those engine pieces. Both sides. So that came out really good. We got all those on both sides. What I've been doing off camera is we glued those together, but I went and sanded. They had some really nasty seams, so I went and sanded. Tried out my new little flexo file, where you just do like that, and you have different grits that you can put on this. And this way it gives you, you can press and it gives you a contour. So when you sand, it's not just a flat edge. So it works really good on these smaller round things. So I went through and cleaned all that up. Set that right there for now. And that's where that goes. Tools out. What else did I do? I cleaned these up. They just had a few little burrs from the sprue and a little bit of webbing on the things. Glued these on. Cleaned it up first, and then glued those little caps on. And then cleaned up these nasty seams on both sides here on all four of those. Oh, I also used the surface primer because this was a solid piece, but this was only a half piece, but then you had a gap where this didn't quite line up. So I had to fill that gap in a little bit, and it was just easy just to do a little surface primer. Dries quick. Yeah, those look okay. I might do another coat on some of them. Some of the gaps right here were really large. But it's not bad. And then I used the gray. Hopefully that would give a little shading, because I could have used the white, but that'll give it like a dirtier little shading. Maybe pre-shading there. That you'll be able to see instead of like the black. Clean these guys up as well. These guys had some nasty seams, especially in this area here. So cleaned them up as best I could without losing any of the detail there. That's why I like my flat file to fit just in some of those grooves. And the old flexi file worked great. I'm really liking that. I'm hoping that maybe I can make up my own sandpaper things. It looks like they're using like that model, like the Tester's sandpaper that has the real shiny clear on the one side. And it looks like what they did is they just bent it around and then glued it. You can see the glue there. I wonder if I can make something like that. Or even just poke notches that I can get it to go around. But the tool is really handy. But I'm sure they're probably expensive for the belt, for the sandpaper. But it gave me a packet of sandpaper. I guess the red's really fine. That black's really coarse. The gray's in between. The brown would be the second finest. So they gave me some. But I can blow through those in no time, as handy as that tool's been. I didn't use it all. I used some just standard 320 at first, because these were pretty rough. And then ran a file in the end here. So all the parts are cleaned up. I cleaned these up. I cleaned those up. Really what I got to do is drill holes in here, because I think I'm going to drill this hole really big and then slide that down, make it even, these pieces here. But I want to get as much as this hole drilled out, and then when it caps over top, it'll still be okay. Because really all we need is that edge. And then here I'll drill a hole the size of, 5mm, the size of the pulsating LEDs, so we get that flickering effect. And then we'll have to drill a little hole here. And then the way these sit, they'll sit kind of like that. And I think I'm just going to do a notch here, because if I burn through, you won't see it. I'll cut a notch, and we have to get in like this area. But I do have to see how these go together. It would be like that. So it needs to get in here so I can get through into the, or actually it's going to have to go this way. But once it gets in here, it's in the body cavity, so that's what we're doing there. So these we can actually glue on. Well, I got to get these holes done. And then we just got to build 4, LEDs with resistors on them, stick them in here and glue them, and have the tails come out. So that'll work good for that. These are ready for paint. We'll do a light paint on those. These are ready for paint. I filed these ends so these will fit on there nice. But these we're going to do like a German gray. This is just called gray from Anita's. It's a nice dark gray, which is very close, if I find it. I mean, the German gray is darker, but I don't know if I need to go that dark. We'll go, yeah, I don't know. Do I want to go to the German gray? Because it is darker. And I do like that. But I know this is fairly dark too. And it'll dry darker too. Yeah, that's enough. I'm going to use this gray. I think I'll save the German gray for the cockpit, because I have a little bit of German gray in a spray bottle. I have it in the jar. This was one of my favorite colors from Tamiya in the gray family. German gray. Another one I liked was, this is the neutral gray. I think I have a sky gray that I like, yeah. And then there's a deep sea blue gray or something like that. Yeah, that's this. This I like a lot. So I have bottles of those. But what I spend for one of these, I don't know if I have one with a price on it. I think these are like, $10 or something crazy. I can get like, 8 bottles of this, at $1 something, $2. For 2, 4, 6, 8, I can get like 5 bottles for what I can get in one of these. And these are thick, and I have to dilute them, so it actually gives me more. Even if these were the same size, I would get probably like 2 to 3 times more paint out of this than these. There's nothing wrong with Tamiya paints. I love them, and especially the the solvent-based acrylics, because they are a little more hardy. You don't have to seal them right away before you touch them. Where's my tea? There it is. because with the others, you kind of have to, you know, if you're going to touch it a lot, you're gonna want to seal it. Because just the moisture in your hands. So, what can we start? Yeah, but this is the first time using the Flexifile, and I like it. It was only like $7, so it's worth it. But they probably get you with with the replacements of those. All right, what can we do? Can't build these laser cannons until we paint these, so we're going to paint those. And I should airbrush these. I'm going to use my Anita's white, and I should come up with my own white. I should almost come up with a white with a slight gray in it. Try to mimic that light aircraft gray that I get from testers. I did the Falcon in, because it already has that tannish gray in it. It gives it a good aged base, and I could do that. I could put a drops of tan and gray, come up with that, so it's not so white. But let's keep it simple. Then I don't have to worry about color matching. And save my color matching containers for other stuff. So we're gonna hand paint these, but we're gonna need my little styrofoam brick. I need to bring up some toothpicks again. Oh, I do have a few. Yeah. Will these fit in them? Yep. I gotta buy like a big box of toothpicks to fill that up with, and just to have, for the real reason that I have. So I'll stick these on here, but really to hand paint them, we're gonna take them off. And that gets hidden, right? Yeah, it gets hidden in the cabinet. But for now, I can actually use, let's use this. Use this little thing to start hand painting these, because no sense of dirtying up an airbrush for them. These paint fairly easy. The acrylic will lay down fine, so you don't have to worry about streets. And the first coat always sucks because it's not going to stick to the plot, you know. Your brush strokes will start you'll see them, because it'll keep uncovering the paint off the plastic. But once you get a good dry coat, once one coat dries, you'll be fine. But these are the few pieces, I hope, that I only have to, do I have my mic on here? That I only have to paint, because everything else I'm going to put together and paint. I see people do that a lot, and I can't always seem to find to be able to do it enough that it really matters. There always seems to be parts that need to be a different color, and I don't feel like doing all that masking. Maybe that's it. I don't feel like doing all the masking. But you gotta weigh, okay, is it gonna give you a lot of masking? Maybe, but would be, you know, the other part of it is, or you have to mask, and there's gonna be a pain in the neck to paint separate because you have all these other things going on. But most of the time, it's the seam lines that make you don't want to. You want to paint it afterwards once it's together, because then you don't have to worry about any of the color matching. But the more and more I stay away from my base colors being from a spray can. Although I did learn a cool trick from Fine Scale Modelers on YouTube on the best way to get aerosol. Woo! I knew you were going to pop. That's okay. Best way to get aerosol paint out of a can so you can put it in your airbrush. Which I never really thought about it, using a straw and spraying it into a jar that way, and then you gotta let it sit for a while, because the chemicals that are in the can that allow it to become aerosol, they have to bubble off. Otherwise, if you spray it, it'll be bubbly, because it's almost like carbonation in a soda. It actually evaporates. It's actually dissolved in the paint along with the solvents and everything else. So, but you know, that helps. I mean, I've done that where I sprayed it in one of my little mixing cups and then thinned it out. You know, if it's an enamel, using a mineral spirits or an enamel thinner, which I think that's what enamel thinners are. The ones that testers sells and stuff. I think that is mineral spirits. I wonder. I never really paid attention to exactly what that is. 'Cause I never had just a jar of mineral spirits, which I should. But I've been staying away from the enamels. Just because the solvents in them. And once I got a taste of how quick acrylics dry and how nice they are, kind of been staying. Yeah, I guess I'm just gonna have to touch it. But it's not gonna matter because it's just a water-based paint. There's just, you got to be a little more patient when airbrushing acrylics, that's all. These craft acrylics. And I guess the Tamiya's too, you got to thin them out. You know, or have the proper, depending on the needle in your airbrush. But these definitely, you have to thin out a lot. Get that happy medium where it's thick enough that it doesn't take a million coats, because it don't cover very well once it's thinned out. But I don't mind doing a couple light coats, because one thing, it might look heavy, but once these dry, they will thin, you know, it'll look like a very light coat. This first coat's almost like just doing a primer. It's going to allow the next coats to stick. And I probably should make sure I get the other side too. I don't think they'll be shown too much, but and I'm still not sure if I'm going to do like I did into the snow speeder and just hit these with a light splatter to kind of help them not be so contrasty. Probably. these are gonna look. And I know most, and I think even the miniature, the real one, is mostly all white, an off-white, weathered, heavily weathered white. But I like some of these things having some type of color. The Agostini ones had a little color on these, so that's why I want to go with color on these as well. And it's grilly, and it kind of looks cool when it has a little color when they're a grilly style part. There we go. I think we hit that first one in that already. Alrighty. But I'm going to do several coats of that. Set these here. Let them dry. I can breeze through them if I could get the hairdryer out. But there's some things I can prep now. I guess I can get these white, and I can glue all that together. Let's see if we can, yeah, while those are drying, let's tackle that during this little segment. Which step drill do I want to use, the bigger or the smaller notches per? I think I'm going to go with the smaller. Alright, now this is going to be fun. We got to kind of get center on these. You can kind of see it. I do have this center punch that came with my tap set. Can't tell if that's quite center. I mean, there is a, like, you see a kind of a center point. That'll work. But that's supposed to pop. Something's wrong there. There it goes. It's almost like you gotta recock it, but man, you gotta. It's pretty hard to. It might be good for metal, but I don't know if that's gonna work for plastic. Because by the time I push that down, it already pushed the whole. There we go. Yeah, by the time I get that far down, it's already. I don't know why I keep fixing that, because they're not going to stay up. And they don't need to anymore. But let's get these center marks to there. You can kind of see the center because of the. There it goes. It almost has a spiral like it was cut on a lathe with metal. So you can kind of get a center mark there. Oh, I forgot that. Yeah, I'm not gonna, because there's all kinds of springs in there. I'll look at that later. See what's up with that. Hey, it was free. So. Alright, here we go. I'll drill one and then we'll go off camera and I'll do the others and then clean these up. I think I should hit them. With a black, and then I'll just hand do gray, because I have to do this edge here gray too, because I do want both of those rings to be like a gray ring. I thought maybe just doing this black and doing that one, but I look on my D'Agostini because I kind of want to replicate that, even though it's not exactly, as far as color, correct. For the most part, like 99%. It's in that dirty, dark, tannish color I was talking about. Like a dirty, dirty, dirty white. And I kind of kept it that way. I didn't repaint it like the Falcon, because I wanted that X-Wing to be a later Luke. This one I'm going to have it be more of an earlier Luke. You know, like New Hope style. Or that one I wanted it to be like after Return of the Jedi, you know. Like you see in The Mandalorian, that one. But even that one, I still have it pretty clean. I'm trying to think of Return of Skywalker. Or Rise of Skywalker, how clean it was there. I don't remember. Alright, let's see how this does. I think to start it, I'm going to go this way. And like I said before, I recommend these, highly, highly recommend these step drills. Because it drills acrylic. Like, that's a perfect, nice, clean hole in that. Where a spiral drill will want to grab and do all kinds of stuff. But yeah, I'm off center, so. But look how fast it's drilling that hole. Yeah, it's really clean. And I need to do this over a trash can, or I'm going to have to vacuum here tomorrow. Yeah, so this wasn't bad at all. Now we're definitely getting into the area where I want to use my Dremel, since I'm off center, to finish that out, because I got a lot more edge in here, but I figure I'd take my Dremel, take the little round bit, and I can sand that edge away. So, let's go on to the next one, and then I'll go off camera and get all these things ready afterwards. But now that I know this worked, let's again start it on the table. And the better I got those center points, the better, nope, I can tell that one's way up too. Drop the part. But I don't have to. There we go. I don't have to clean any burrs or anything. It's pretty much, you know, you could use it right away, but we gotta clean up the lace, the hole, because they're off center. Yeah, that one's way off center. Yeah, and those are going to be too. That one might be pretty good. But, like I said, let me go through this and paint all that up, and we'll come back in a little bit and show you where we're at. See you soon.